Time now for the Bercich Breakdown. That means we bring in Pete Bercich. Why are we talking Vikings in the middle of March? Well, legal tampering opens tomorrow, and by this time tomorrow night, we should have a good idea of what the Vikings truly think about J.J. McCarthy, because they have said they are going to explore all options, Peter. And right out of the gate, the name that pops up to everybody is Kyler Murray. What do you think of Mr. Murray? Do you think he's a fit here? What have you seen in his game when you've broken it down?
The Kyler Murray thing, I think we all got to take a step back. My gut is that they want to see what J.J. McCarthy can do, that they're not ready to give up on him yet. So they obviously want to bring in competition. So if you're not going to bring in a guy to be the starter, it changes the way you look at that decision financially. And that's where Kyler Murray kind of fits. He fits financially, meaning, the Cardinals are on the hook to pay him. Wouldn't cost much for the Vikings. As a player, does he fit with what the Vikings want to do? I don't know. I do know from watching him play, he's very elusive in the pocket, very, very good athlete, accurate. I think that's probably the part of his game that maybe the coaching staff with the Vikings, Kevin O'Connell, would like the most, is that he is very accurate, loves to throw to the tight end to be a big part of the offense. Where doesn't it fit? Well, he's not a pocket type passer. He's in the shotgun quite a bit, so he's not under center, the play action game, that sort of thing. There's some questions, obviously, to how much does he love the game and want to study the film, being in this style of read offense, pure progression style of offense. Will that be a fit? If the question is that you need somebody to be able to step in and win you some games if and or when J.J. McCarthy goes down, because that's the one thing we do know is that McCarthy's missed a few games every year. Then yeah, he fits that bill, and he can do it in a rather inexpensive sort of way. But to say that he would be the future of what this franchise wants to be and what the quarterback position looks like, I don't see as clearly. And finances matter now. I mean, the Vikings had to make some moves to get under the cap. I mean, finances matter. So the ability to bring in a proven starter, a guy who's played some games for a very low amount of money, that's where Geno Smith kind of falls into it as well.
All right, we'll get to Geno. Appealing. We'll get to Geno in a second. One quick thing on Murray, though. But do you think Kyler looks at this as a place where he can be the starter and be the guy because of his age, right? The other guys we're going to talk about, Cousins, Rodgers, Geno, they all are long in the tooth. They're not your long-term solution. But Kyler's still young.
Right. And that's one thing for this year, I think, in the draft, too, because at this stage, Kyler Murray wants to go to whatever team he believes he can get on the field the fastest and re-slate himself as a starter in this league and get back to that type of a contract and payday. What team is that going to be? Well, sometimes in years when there's a question mark on the quarterback situation going into the draft, some guys might drag their feet and say, well, we'll see how the draft falls out. And if a team doesn't get the guy they want in the draft or doesn't get the quarterback, then all of a sudden these free agent quarterbacks are much more in demand, and they can demand a little bit higher money. Not that he's going to get paid more than the Cardinals are already paying him. But you know what I'm saying? So for him to look at the league and say, okay, where am I going to play the most? Right now that's I think that's pretty well anybody but the Raiders, because the Raiders have the number 1 overall pick. They probably, Mendoza is probably going to go to the Raiders, and he'll just look at it from there and find out which guys can I beat out. If Minnesota is that place, it could be because of the offense, the coaching, what's going on up here. And then, McCarthy's history of not being able to stay healthy. I mean, you look back at the last couple of seasons, we've needed a backup quarterback for 5, 6, 7 games. Darnold did it the whole year. So if that's what he wants to do, then Minnesota would be appealing to him.
Kirk Cousins. Does he appeal to you? If we're looking at a bridge, if management on the Vikings have decided that, you know what, McCarthy, we like what we see here. We think he's still have more to go. Would Kirk be that bridge guy if they need that?
Yeah, I think Kirk could be that bridge guy. Obviously, he's familiar with the offense. The question with Kirk is just where is he in all of this? Is he okay with coming in and being a backup, a mentor, a guy that might get 6 or 7 games? Because Kirk is not looking to get the next big contract, right? I mean, he's getting old enough now where I think it's safe to say he's not going to get himself another $150 million contract to be quarterback somewhere, right? He's just, if he wants to continue to play and not become an announcer, not go into the media side of things, then if that's what his mindset is, then yeah, this place could be a really good fit because he knows the offense, he knows the coaches, he can mentor the young quarterback and JJ McCarthy. And then if things go wrong, yeah, you can throw him in there. He's played in playoff games. He has that experience, right? So there's a lot of good there. Where the good wouldn't be is if he's coming in here thinking I'm going to win this job and become number one again. That's where you're thinking, well, that could get a little dicey.
All right. What about Geno Smith? That's another name that a lot of people have been pointing at as a target for the Vikings. Do you see them being interested in Geno Smith?
I liked a lot of what I saw out of Geno Smith 2 years ago when he was with Seattle. I didn't see any film on him with with the Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders, excuse me, last season. I mean, the Raiders, that I don't know if anybody could have made that team look good. They were struggling mightily in so many different ways, and there were so many problems. But I do like Geno Smith's accuracy. He's a pocket passer. He gets, they roll him out and get him on the edges. At least Seattle did. But I think he'd be a good option as a backup quarterback as well. And the price is right.
What about JJ McCarthy? What's he thinking tonight, right now? Is he apprehensive? Does he worry that his time as a starter is done here? Where do you think his mind is at tonight?
Well, I think for us as fans, we can gauge the level of confidence the Vikings have in JJ McCarthy by how far and what they do at the backup position, right? And I think some of that's unfolding right in front of us. But if they, they're not getting rid of a bunch of guys and paying someone a bunch of money to come in and compete per se, a free agent, if you will. For JJ, it's the same situation he's been in. The opportunity is going to be there to be the starter. And regardless of who else they bring in, that doesn't really affect him, right? You're talking about his mindset. His mindset has got to be, he's got to mature physically, he's got to mature mentally, and he's got to come in this year and remove any doubt from the beginning of the season that this is his team and that he's going to be the quarterback. Putting on some weight, developing physically, I think will help him stay healthy and play more. But that's the big question mark is can he stay healthy? And it's time on the field. I mean, remember, Justin Jefferson missed all of training camp and Jordan Addison was there all of training camp. Then the season starts and Justin Jefferson's back, but Addison's gone, right? So there wasn't a lot of continuity with quarterback, wide receivers going into the season. And then once the season started, you had one game in Chicago, one game against Atlanta, and then boom, he's gone for 6 weeks. And then you have to start that thing all up again, right? Week 8, 9, and 10. And the numbers were better for McCarthy toward the end of the season, but that's what I'm talking about you got to have consistency before you can have leadership. And we just didn't have any consistency at the quarterback position last year or at the, or going into the year, the wide receiver position. So, for McCarthy, consistency is another big thing. And if he can pull all that together this offseason, again, it's all under his control. I guess that would be my words to him, is to say, this is still yours. This is still your opportunity. The Vikings would like nothing more than their number 9 pick to turn things around and become a great quarterback. So this is it's all up to him. and that's a good thing. It's not a pressure thing. It's not saying it's all on you with the pressure side of it. It's saying it's still under his control.
All right. The running game, because the Vikings had to chop off $40-some million to get under the cap, sounds like Aaron Jones' time is done here. That means Jordan Mason is your back. Is he good enough? Did he show you enough to be the number one back, or do they have to go out and find something in free agency?
I think Jordan Mason is good enough to be the starter. The question is, you need 2 running backs. You need 3 running backs. And with Jordan Mason and his skill set, he's not out of the backfield much. Not out there running routes. And that's where, where his skill set really matched up well with the situation they had last year. So I would see the Vikings in the draft looking at that position, trying to bring in somebody who can complement, Mason as a first and second down on the ground type of a running back. We know who he is. We just need to find somebody that can complement him, and I think you can do that in the draft.
All right. A lot of buzz. Viking fans were very kind of upset that Jonathan Grenard's name was out there, that they were going to trade him. He was supposedly on the block, but now that they've gotten down to the number they needed to hit to be under the cap, do you think the Vikings may pull him back off the trading block and wait for a while and perhaps he will stay with the Vikings, or do you think they still need to move his money off the books?
I don't think they have to take it off the books. It would give them some more leverage in free agency, and I think if that was going to happen, it probably would have already. The thing is anybody can be traded at any time given the right deal. But Jonathan Grenard is a huge playmaker. He's probably the best defender that we have right now. Yes, Dallas Turner has gotten better. But the only way it makes sense is if you're going to say Dallas Turner is going to be the starter and Grenard's not going to play enough to warrant what we're paying him. So you just don't like to see good football players move. And Jonathan Grenard is a very, very good football player. He's a great football player, and I'd love to see him be part of this defense. I think you do have some question marks, however, behind him. Like, what are you going to do with Eric Wilson? Eric Wilson ended up being a very productive part of this defense. And how are you going to replace that productivity? And, do you feel good with Jay Ward and Theo Jackson being your 2 safeties, and then there's depth at corner? A lot of this can be addressed in the draft, but free agency will end up probably being a lot of those kind of holes that they can fill and getting some depth at certain key spots.
All right. So finally, last question for you, Pete. How much will we know tomorrow night at this time? Will we know a lot, or is it going to be still incomplete?
As far as
the
team,
quarterback, as far as the quarterback goes.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have a better idea, but I just think with that McCarthy's still going to get his shot for this season, and I don't think that there is a Sam Darnold out there right now who is looking, who has that ability and who's looking to get a second shot at things. So I don't think there's a Darnold out there that exists. There are some guys that I think might fit that description, but they're all under contract. So a trade would have to occur for something like that to happen. Whether or not that's the case, we'll see. But I just don't see in the free agent market anybody out there, fitting that bill.
All right. Pete, we're going to tap on you once we get these free agents done and try to sort out what we got. But we really appreciate your stuff. Always check out Pete's stuff. Eye in the Sky on YouTube is where you can find all his content, and it's very in-depth, great footage that you get shared from the National Football League. So we appreciate your time with us tonight, and go check out his stuff for more on the Vikings.
All right, I guess we'll talk tomorrow. It's going to be a busy day.
Yes, we will. Thanks, Pete.
It's frustrating, I know, for fans to sit on the sidelines because you like to have the big wallets, and but then the draft comes around and it's like you get excited again, and so yeah, it's patience, right? Just patience.